Welcome to the All Things Nintendo podcast. I'm Brian Shea, and this is a weekly podcast to discuss all the biggest news and games from the world of Nintendo. We are just a couple of short weeks away from the launch of the next major first-party Switch 2 release in Donkey Kong Bananza, and I flew into New York and spent 2 whole hours with the game, and wouldn't you know it, so has my guest this week. You can see his work on Hip Hop Wired and Cassius. It's Bernard Smalls, aka Beanz. Bernard, how are you doing?
I'm good. Don't mind my flicking lights. There's a lot of craziness going on, but I'm good. Just happy to be here on the Nintendo podcast of all things. So it's a cool thing.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you here. We first, bonded last year when we went to a tennis tournament of all things. We went to what was it was outside of Palm Springs. What was the tournament? It was Desert Smash.
Desert Smash. That's what we go for. What was it? What's the game? Shoot.
It's Top Spin.
Top Spin 2K25. There you go. That was fun time. That was definitely a fun time.
Yeah, so that was super fun. We got to see Charlize Theron hosting it. We randomly ran into several celebrities. I got a selfie with Red Foo from LMFAO, so that was fun. We got to see Flavor Flav. It could have been worse. But it's been a minute since I've seen you, and it's exciting to have you on the show. I know we've had a long run of technical issues lately, and coincidentally, all of the guests are in New York City or the surrounding areas. So I'm starting to think there might be a theme with the internet having problems.
Yeah. I mean, it's the heat, it's the weather, it's a whole bunch of things going on out here, man. People running things. So I don't know. It's a whole lot of craziness going on. But you gotta do what you gotta do. We're out here making it work just off phone internet right now. So because I didn't want to miss this opportunity. This is a great opportunity here. So,
well, I'm glad you could join me. We're going to get into your history with Nintendo in just a moment, but as a show note here to kick off the episode, I am recording this 2 days earlier than usual due to the holiday here in the US. So apologies if we miss any news in this first segment. I know there's a Bandai Namco stream that's promising some news for Switch 2. So if we get something like an Elden Ring release date or anything else of note, I'll be sure to circle back during next week's news segment. But Bernard, we have a time-honored tradition here on All Things Nintendo when a person makes their debut appearance. It is getting to know them through their history with Nintendo. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what was your first Nintendo game? This could be your first memory, your first system, the first game you ever owned, the first game you ever played. Just where is your affection or history with Nintendo start?
I'm definitely gonna age myself. My first Nintendo game was, of course, the Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt cartridge. They both was on the same cartridge. That was the first console I owned. That was my personal console. My sister before me had a Sega Master System. That wasn't mine. That was hers. So I couldn't touch that. So my mom got me a Nintendo finally, and yeah, that was my first. I guess my first real step into video games. It kicked it all off for me, and I love Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt was my thing. I didn't like Mario Brothers too much because I would get stuck at World 7-4, and I could not get past the maze. My sister couldn't, and it used to piss me off so bad, so I just stopped playing Mario. This is a true story. I've never beaten the first Mario Brothers game because I got to that point, and I just I don't like this game. I don't want to play no more. So I never beat it. And I think I'm kind of ashamed of myself. I feel everyone on the planet has beaten Mario Brothers, but I haven't. So there you go. That's my foray into Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that original Super Mario Brothers is not an easy game. It took me probably into my late 20s, early 30s before I beat it for the first time. So I get it. It's not something that especially now that, we're in 2025, it's not a game that you typically go back and replay, it's a game that it's like the original Legend of Zelda. Maybe it's aged a little bit better than the original Legend of Zelda, but it's a relic. It is kind of required reading if you're interested in the history of video games, but it's not something that's like somebody's like, hey, I've never played video games before in my life. Where should I start? Probably not going to tell them to start with the original Super Mario Brothers in 2025, you know?
No,
Like, so I get it. I totally understand that. But that brings us to the next part of this question, which is what is your favorite Nintendo game of all time?
can I have two? Is it possible to have two, or do you have to have just one?
Hey, it's your answer, so go for it.
Uh, for all right, it's because these are two separate consoles. I remember watching the movie The Wizard. I don't know if Roddy remembers that movie. It's a Nintendo-based movie with The Wizard, and it was the game that introduced Super Mario Brothers 3 to the world. So Super Mario Brothers 3 was my jam. Like I knew all the secrets. I knew how to get behind the black part at the end of the stage. I knew how to get to the last stage like quickly. I knew all the whistle locations. That was my jam. It was one of my favorite games on the Nintendo system. And on Super Nintendo, for me, it was Super Metroid. Super Metroid is like one of my favorite games of like all time. Like I play that game any chance I get to play it, I'll play it over and over. So that's why when they like brought back Metroid Dread, I was super ecstatic because I was like, I've been missing a good side-scrolling Samus game for a long time, and Super Metroid was just, I don't know, it just it just was had it had my attention. You know, you can just finding all the secrets and finding everything and all the moves and the hidden bosses. It was just a perfect game to me. So Super Metroid and Super Mario Brothers 3 are my two favorites.
Hey, both of those are all-time classics. Super Mario Brothers 3 was one of the first, I think that might be the first game I ever not beat because I wasn't the person responsible for playing through the game, but I remember I was over at my grandparents' house and my uncle had gotten to the end and he beat King Koopa at the end of it, and all he had to do was walk through that door to rescue the princess. And I was like, oh, can I do that? And you know, there's the hole where Koopa bounced through, or Bowser just slammed through
Let's
and
do it.
like, you know, fell to his death. And so like there's the hole there, and I'm like, hey, can I do that? And my uncle's like, no, I don't want you to fall because I was really young. And my grandmother made him do it, like made him let me do it, his mom. And so that's the first game I ever like pushed across the finish line, even though like, you know, that's not, I didn't actually have any hand in beating it aside from jumping over a very easy to avoid pit.
Mhm.
And Super Metroid, people who listen to this podcast on a week-to-week basis know that I love that game, but I've never beaten it. So I need to go and do that at some point. People give me crap about it all the time.
Oh man,
And I know
Brian's
it's
an
an all-time
experience.
classic. I know, yeah, I know it's
Yeah,
an incredible
there's
game.
this,
I've done
there's just like
a historical deep dive on it.
there's this just one moment in that game that is just so perfect, man. And it's like when you get the super run. Oh, it's like there's a part you just like run down this long hall, and then you reach this wall, and you just press up, and she just shoots up, and like I was like, man, I think my best friend put me on that game. He's like, you gotta play Super Metroid, and he's like, when you get to this one part, call me and let me know when you get there. And he was like, you got to that part? I was like, yes. He's like, did I tell you part was fire? I was like, absolutely fire, man. And it's just the most simple thing, but I was like, this is such a cool mechanic in a game, man. Like just to find that and then add that to already all the other things that you can do. It was like, man, chef's kiss, man. That game, I never felt so gratified like when doing something, just pulling off that move, man. It was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I have beaten other Metroid games. Just for some reason, Super Metroid, which many people consider the definitive Metroid game, I have never seen through to the end. Zero Mission is my personal favorite right now.
Okay.
I adore that game. I think it's an incredible remake. But what were your thoughts of Dread?
I love Dread actually. Dread was the one game that had me like attached to my Switch for like it pulled me away from my other consoles. Like I had my Switch everywhere. Just I remember just going to Comic Con and having that thing on the train, and just trying to play that and like looking for everything. And like again, I'm more of a completionist, so I'm like just scouring the maps, going back and forth. I did like I like the enemy type in that's just chasing you around and stuff like that. It really added like a sense of the word dread to the game. You know what I'm saying? Just seeing that thing, knowing that you can't kill it at a certain point, like at the moment you couldn't kill it. So I thought it was real, and plus the game was a pleasant surprise. I didn't know it was coming. So when it came out, I was like, I need this immediately. And like I said, my God, I didn't put it down. I beat it like maybe a week. So
Wow. Yeah, that's another one that I have not yet beaten.
yeah, I've heard a lot of people say, I don't know if it's not on a lot of people's lists, but it feels like a good Metroid game, a modern Metroid game. It's pretty good for what it's worth, and it's not up there with like Zero Mission and Super Metroid, but it definitely it's definitely like holds its place though. It has its moments. It has a lot of moments in it, I think, that are memorable. So I'm looking forward to the next Metroid game. I guess what is it? The first person one,
Prime
so
4.
Prime 4, yeah. So
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that as well. I got to play it a little bit at the Switch 2 reveal event back in April, and it is awesome from what like the 20-30 minutes that I got my hands on it for.
mm.
But we got some news to get to. But before we do that, I just want to remind people that this show is brought to you by the members on the Patreon page. Without their support, I could not continue doing this show. If you want to join, you can come in as low as $3 a month. That gets you access to the community Discord, where we just had the first ever All Things Nintendo community night. We jumped into game chat, played 2 solid hours of Mario Kart World. I was actually pleasantly surprised by how well everything worked with game chat, with one key exception. You can't invite more people into an active game chat room, even if there's space. So like, I thought it was going to be like like an Xbox Live party where people can leave, people can come as they wish. Like people can leave, but like once you invite that initial wave of people, you cannot invite more people. It's one of the dumbest restrictions I've seen in a minute. I hope they fix that in a future update. But there are also $5 and $10 tiers to get you perks like early and ad-free episodes and shout outs at the end of the show. If you'd like to help me continue doing this show each and every week, head to Patreon and search All Things Nintendo or type in patreon.com/Brian Shea Podcasts. You can also find All Things Nintendo merchandise on Dashery. So, Bernard, not a ton of news this week, but a few noteworthy things to bring up in this first segment. Nintendo's been pretty quiet. There's rumors that there might be a Nintendo Direct on the horizon this month sometime. So we are officially on Nintendo Direct watch, but for now it's a little bit quiet. We did get New Super Mario Bros. U and Yoshi's Story added to the Nintendo Music app, which is always good. Still waiting on that Mario Kart World edition because that soundtrack is incredible. But we also got a new game added to the GameCube library on Switch 2. That game is Super Mario Strikers, the GameCube soccer game starring Mario and his friends. It joins F-Zero GX, Soul Calibur 2, and The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker as the 4th game in the GameCube library. Also, as a reminder, they've already teased games like Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, Super Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, and others. For people who have not accessed the GameCube library, a reminder that you need to not only have a Switch 2 to access the GameCube library, but you also need an active Nintendo Switch Online Plus subscription expansion pack subscription. Bernard, do you have a Switch 2, first of all? Have you gotten one yet?
I unfortunately have not gotten a Switch 2 yet. I'm still waiting on my Switch 2. I haven't gotten it yet. That's why when you guys got to go to the event in New York, which I live in New York, and I was very jealous. I was like, man, Nintendo, what happened, man? You guys forgot about little old me, man, but it's fine. But I haven't gotten my hands on this. I played it, but I haven't gotten my hands on one yet. It's still in the works.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll say that.
It does seem like a restock is coming, so that's good news for you. I would not have a Switch 2 if Nintendo did not send one to Game Informer, because famously on this podcast, I had all my stuff set up. I was ready for pre-orders the night they dropped, and then I fell asleep like 30 minutes before the pre-orders went live. So I would be in that same boat with you if I did not get lucky and have Game Informer back. Like it would be a real problem for a Nintendo-based podcast.
Brian, you got old at the wrong time. You got old at the wrong time.
It's so funny. It was the oldest thing that could have possibly happened because my girlfriend was like, hey, there's like 3 hours before the pre-orders, right? And she's like, hey, let's watch Conclave. And it just hit streaming at the time. And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So we watched it. It was a great movie. And then I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to go downstairs and play video games. She's like, I think I'm going to go to bed. And I was like, that does sound really good. Let's just go to sleep. And then I woke up the next morning. The way I've described it is I woke up like the mom in Home Alone when she realized she left Kevin alone. It just like cold sweat. Oh God, what have I done? And yeah, I'm very grateful that I did end up getting one sent to me. But were your favorite Nintendo games were on NES and SNES? Were you a GameCube guy? Are there any GameCube games you're really holding out for?
I had a GameCube. A funny story for me with my GameCube was when they announced Resident Evil, I was like ecstatic. I couldn't wait. So I actually bought a modded GameCube. And
Wow.
I had excuse my lights. I had Resident Evil, the Japanese version. And the funny thing is I'm playing this game. I'm thinking, I'm a Resident Evil fanatic, so I'm thinking it's just like the original game, not knowing that they totally changed everything, and all of the text and stuff is in Japanese, so I can't read any of it. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. And on top of that, I didn't know there was an added twist to the zombies that this time around. Because I was wondering, like, why am I getting kerosene? Like, what am I supposed to do with this kerosene? Little did I know you're supposed to burn the bodies. So I'm running around and they just get back up. So that was my GameCube story. I had the purple one. It was a purple GameCube, and it had a little switch in the back, and I would flip it. You could flip it between North America and Japanese. So that
that's
but
cool.
so I had Luigi's Mansion in Japanese. I had Resident Evil, and then what was my favorite? My favorite game on there had to be Twilight Princess. I literally found a copy of Twilight Princess on there, and no one likes this game. I didn't realize how much people hated this game, but I love Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes on there. Like, I really loved it. I didn't realize how much people, like Kojima stands, really don't really care for it. Like, they think it's a travesty. I was like, man, really? I thought it was great. Yeah, but that's how much I just like playing Metal Gear so much. So that's probably why I didn't it bothered me. All the extra added stuff in there too, gave me more stuff to appreciate. So that's why I really liked it more.
Yeah, the GameCube has a very solid library. It's funny because like I feel like in the moment, like I played my family's NES. SNES was the first console I ever had. Had so many sleepovers and like just late nights with my N64. The GameCube was where I kind of started migrating to other platforms, right? Like I tried Super Mario Sunshine, it didn't really click with me. I tried Luigi's Mansion, it wasn't really for me at that point in my life. Wind Waker wasn't the Zelda game that I wanted. So like GameCube was kind of not my system growing up. Then I got back into it with like the motion controls on Wii and everything. And then I like the Wii U, even though I acknowledge it's an absolute flop. And then the Switch is incredible. But like, so the GameCube is kind of like I don't want to say like a blind spot because I played a lot of it. It just like was the one time that I would think that like it was my least favorite console in a generation. So,
yeah,
we have these games getting added and like, yeah, like so Super Mario Strikers is a game I actually did not play. I've played the modern version, the one that came out on Switch. But I've never played the GameCube version, so I'm excited for that. But did you ever, being an NES guy growing up, did you ever play Bobble? Because that was one of my first Nintendo games that I ever played.
Brian, oh my God. I think we just became best friends here because Bobble was my jam, man. Bobble was my jam. I got that from I want to say, damn, was it my 8th or 9th? I know I got it as a birthday present. Like when I got the car, I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm looking at it like, oh, Bobble. But I remember playing this game. Like, oh, this is so fun. I used to play with my sister a lot. She was always the blue one. I was the green one. So it was like, I love Bobble, man. Bobble. And then I got it for Game Boy too. It was hard on Game Boy though. It was very difficult on Game Boy. I don't know why the game version. Super difficult. I like this game. This is not. It reminds me of another game on Nintendo that I had that had no business being as difficult as it should have been, and that was the Ninja Turtle game. and
Oh yeah.
from
Yeah, that
Ultra, and
Konami Ninja Turtles game was impossible.
I was like, who did they think was going to play this game? Because I remember being like a kid. I'm like, this is. I can't even get past the first stage. Like that game was insanely hard. So yeah, I
It
mean,
was. I mean, and it's funny because I interviewed Kevin Eastman early last year, co-creator of the Ninja Turtles, and it was all about the history of the video games, the TMNT. And I was talking to him about that first game, and he was like, people would come up to us at conventions like angry about like why did we make the game so hard? And it's like we didn't make the game. We just worked with them, but like they're Konami's the ones that made the games. And then he's like, yeah, when the arcade game came out, I was a fan of that because we could actually beat it. It wasn't like something that like we could like it wasn't like a problem with like we couldn't get through the seaweed level or whatever. It was like no, we're just
oh
completely
yeah,
like able
that
to get through it. So yeah, it
that
was funny.
level, the bomb level, yeah. And the crazy part, they just re-released the you call like those collection games with all the games on it.
Yeah.
And I played it
Cowabunga
again. I was like,
collection.
yeah, and I'm like, man, it's still hard. This is still ridiculously hard, even with the rewind feature. Like, I don't even want to play this anymore. Like, absolutely not. I don't even know as a kid. I don't know who they thought this game was for. I think the crazy part is I had my uncle who beat that game. He literally beat it. And I was like,
Wow.
how? How would you beat this game? I was like, I was like, look, I'm at
There's
the
a
techno. He's like, I'm at the Technodrome. Like, how? It's like, how'd you get? I couldn't get past the dam.
yeah, it was super difficult, notoriously difficult. If you play in the Cowabunga collection, the hot tip is turn on God mode. Like I think there's all those games have a way that you can just turn on invincibility. And I'm not one to say like, yeah, take the easy way out. I mean, I guess take the easy way out if you want to. Play video games how you want to play them. Play the way you have the most enjoyment out of them. But like that's one of those games where I'm just like, I just want to see it through. I want to see like what this game has to offer. The rewind functionality is cool, but I know that like if you stockpile like I think they're like scrolls that give you a projectile, that is like the most OP weapon, and that's the way that all the people will tell you like, yeah, just stockpile this one weapon type and you will be good to get through the rest of the game. So that's
True.
the tip. But anyway, back to Bubble Bobble. Taito, the developer behind Bubble Bobble, actually announced a new entry in the series
Oh,
called Bubble Bobble Sugar Dungeons. And it seems like it's a roguelike where you make your way through rooms with special enemies, special bubbles, power ups you can use. Like they showed one where like they shot like you shoot a bubble at one of these like this item and it shoots like a pillar of fire straight up and like the enemies were moving in a pattern so they moved into the fire. So like it seems like there's all these like creative ways that you can take out enemies. It's not just trapping them in bubbles the way it was in like the NES version. There's also collectibles that you can get that'll carry over from run to run. So like it'll give you like new abilities or new stat boosts or something. So it'll be some sense of progression as you play through several runs. Uh, I don't know that like this game looks like it's going to set the world on fire, but I'm remaining optimistic. The
a
footage
mistake.
looks like it could be fun. The graphics are a little like like it's a
Mm,
little like mid tier kind of like graphics. Like it looks like I don't know, like it doesn't look bad. It just looks kind of cheap, you know.
okay.
But is this doing anything for you as a fellow OG Bubble Bobble player?
The thing is, this is my first time hearing of this, so I'm definitely gonna take a look at this myself. Why not? I mean, listen, I got plenty of nostalgia craze. Why not give it a run? I love Bubble Bobble as a kid. That's another game I never beat, but if I could beat this might it might fulfill that quest, for me, because I never beat the original one, so I feel let me give this one a run. If it's see what it's like, maybe reach out to them, see if I can get a code, say, hey, let me give this a whirl. I'll write a little review around and see what this is like.
Yeah, well, I'm
Also,
super excited for it, even though it doesn't seem like it's gonna like be like the next big thing or anything. It has some promise to it, I think, and it's
mm,
coming out on November 27th. So
ooh, okay.
this year. What about Double Dragon? Did you ever play that?
I played another Nintendo game. I used to rent Double Dragon 2
Mm-hmm.
from my video store all the time for the NES. And that was another game that I could never beat because there was another level that was just ridiculously hard. And I'm like, you were literally like, there goes another light. We are out of lights. But you would get to a point where you're like in this like I forgot, there's like these little spike areas and you're like stuck between two of these big adobo guys and they uppercut you into the damn ceiling and then they would knock you down and I will always die there. But Double Dragon 2 was I really liked Double Dragon 2. I just could never beat it. Again, I used to rent that
I
game
mean,
all the
that was by
time.
design. Well,
I
that's why
would
they
rent
did
it
it,
all the
because they
time.
didn't want you to beat it when you rented. Like
Well,
that
they
was the
had
whole point of so many of those games being so difficult. Like the famous example is the Lion King game back in the day. They intentionally made it difficult with the express reason being we don't want somebody to rent this and be able to beat it. We want them to have to buy
really.
it or rent it multiple times. Yeah, the
That,
developers have
that's
said that.
that's wow. You know, I never looked at it that way. And my claim to fame is that game was not hard to me. Like I beat the Lion King.
Wow.
I beat that game. Like it's not even a problem. I beat it. I never had an issue with it. That's why when people say this game is so hard. Like the Lion, what version did you play? I like. Are we talking about the same Lion King game? I used to say the Aladdin
I
game was
mean,
hard. They used to say the Aladdin was
the
hard.
Aladdin
I was
game
like,
was hard too.
what? I beat that game too.
I don't think it was as notoriously difficult as the Lion King, but the Aladdin, like
What?
the Cave of Wonders, I remember being pretty difficult.
Yeah, that stage is hard. That is a difficult stage. I'm trying to what stage did people have the most trouble with in the Lion King though? Was it the elephant graveyard?
I think so. There was also like difficult platforming sequence. I think the Elephant Graveyard is actually one that people had problems with. It's been so long. I actually bought the Lion King on like Xbox and I played it one time and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this being like this. Uh, but
Uh,
circling back to Double Dragon, uh,
yes.
have you been paying attention to Double Dragon Revive? It's a modernized sequel to that side-scrolling beat 'em up series. They announced during the Arc System Works stream that they were doing, the showcase, that it is coming to Switch. And in addition to modern graphics and a fresh take on the 2D brawler genre, it is in development from Ukes, which is the studio that did the WWE 2K games up until 2018. It's
Oh
also
wow.
adding more strategic layers to combat, and it's coming to Switch and every other major platform on October 23rd.
I'm very well aware of that game. I did write a story around that as far as the first announcement of it. I love this beat 'em up renaissance we're going through here with these games. I feel there's a lot of beat 'em up games out there right now that's just like I think I had another Double Dragon game that came out not too long ago, and it kind of was like in the vein of Scott Pilgrimish. You know, like you're collecting
Mm-hmm.
coins and stuff, and you can add things to take to the next level. So, and that was pretty. It wasn't like blowing your socks off great, but it was pretty fun to play. I played it on a flight home from somewhere, so it was fine. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. I like a good beat 'em up game as long as it's it doesn't have to be like Shredder's Revenge, TMT Shredder's Revenge, but it's as long as it keeps my attention for like the 4 hours or 4 or 5 hours, how long it is. I'm cool with it, and that's what this looks like. It just looks like a good button mashing time. That's all. That's all it has to be.
Real quick, without thinking, what's the best side-scrolling beat 'em up game of all time?
Ooh, I would have to say TMNT 2 on Nintendo for me.
Wow, you're going with that one. Okay, so
Yeah,
the arcade game that they
the
ported over
arcade
to
game.
NES.
Yeah, that was it for
Okay.
me. I used to play that all the time with my best friend. He'd come over to my house on Saturdays while his mom was working. We would play that game at least once a day, every weekend.
Yeah, that's a great one. My pick is Turtles in Time, so just one game
Ooh,
later, basically.
that's right. That's right underneath there for me too. It's right there. And that's the crazy part. It all involves the turtles. Every single one of them involves the turtles, man. So that's
I mean, they're pretty much the kings of the side-scrolling beat 'em up, especially when you consider Shredder's Revenge as well. Like that,
oh,
just incredible game.
I could have won a game of the year, and that's how good I felt that was, man. It really was well done. That was a very well done game. They really, I was actually stunned at how good that was. I thought it'd just be another like remake or rehash. I was like, man, this is totally like blowing my mind here. This is like it made like my top games of the year list. So that's how good it was for me.
Same. It was fantastic. I'm excited that that same studio is doing a Marvel beat 'em up now. Like, I'm really looking forward to that Marvel
Oh,
Cosmic Invasion.
I got hands on with that at Summer Game Fest. Oh, get
How'd
ready.
you like it?
Oh, it's you know what they have a I like they have like a tag team feature in that. So I like that it actually because there's so many characters. I like that it has that because it gives you an opportunity to play with a whole bunch of different characters, and also it has the combat is very combo focused. So you can actually like chain your attacks. So if you're playing with Spider Man and somebody, you can knock the person in the air, and Spider Man can come in and hit him. It's really good. It felt really good. I played like 2 levels. Uh, I think that's it. Just gave me feels of playing like the Marvel superheroes beat 'em up they had back in the day. They had Vision and Captain America and Iron Man. Uh, that one used to be in the arcades to take all my quarters. That and the X-Men one, but the X-Men one was hard too. That was a little difficult one too. But this is I think this one's pretty good. I think this is another one from Tribute. I think so. They got that
Yep.
they got it on Smash. Man, they know what they're doing with these beat 'em ups. There was a lot of beat 'em ups. A lot. I played so many of them. I was like, man, Toxic Avenger got one. Jay Silent Bob got one. I mean, I've never seen a genre outside Souls like get so much love nowadays. So or roguelikes. Everything's a roguelike or a Souls like nowadays. So
Well, I mean, I'm not complaining because they've been pretty high quality, and it's pretty awesome to see these games that were like, these genres. I mean, especially like the beat 'em ups coming back in a way that's like modernized and feels good. We don't have to just rely on these old like, quarter eating arcade titles from like 1991. Like we can actually have like a 2025 like beat 'em up that it feels good, it looks good, it's developed by people who grew up on those games. Like that's when it really starts feeling great, I think, is when like it
absolutely,
feels like the developers called tribute games, and it really feels that way. The
look at
Shredder's Revenge felt like a tribute to the heyday of the Ninja Turtles games, and this looks like it's going to be a tribute to like all those amazing Marvel games we played back in the 90s.
absolutely. And hey, Tribute, if you're listening, no one has done this yet, but then someone could bring back the Simpsons game from the arcades. I mean, I'm all for it. I don't think I don't know if they ever ported that, but I'm not sure. But if someone
It was on
does,
Xbox Live Arcade briefly.
yeah, oh yeah, I don't remember. See, I missed out, man, because man, I used to love that game too, man. So if someone want to do that one, please, please.
It's funny because when I first learned about it, I pitched that, and that was my pitch at two tribute games was like, hey, like after you're done with this, like, hey, the Turtles. My first pop culture obsession was the Ninja Turtles. Even beating out Mario, even beating out Sonic, like back in the '90s, that was my first pop culture obsession. The Simpsons game was the first time I played an arcade game where it's like, I want to buy this arcade cabinet. And I put so many quarters into that Simpsons arcade game. I met up with random people at the arcade. We would play 4-player through it. It was always like the reward that my mom would give me when like she would take me to the mall like during summer vacation. She'd be like, if you behave while like I'm doing my thing at the mall, you can have $2 at the arcade, which 8 quarters that
Eight
got
scores
you
a
eight
lot.
games.
Yeah, boy,
Yeah.
these people don't understand our love, how much our love was back then. Arcades and things like that. I used to save my lunch money. I wouldn't even eat lunch some days just to go to the arcade and spend quarters at I would not eat lunch. See that I would save up my lunch money to like come Friday. I have like $10 to $15 to spend at the arcade. My mother like, where mother like Friday, where you been at all day? At the arcade, you know, playing
See, now
Street
they do it
Fighter.
with V-Bucks.
Yep, playing Street Fighter, playing Killer Instinct, playing all kinds of games in there, man. So
So Double Dragon Revive coming from Ukes, who I mentioned was the WWE studio up until 2018, And speaking of WWE 2K, we already knew that the franchise was coming to Switch 2, courtesy of that Switch 2 reveal stream back in April. We didn't know if it would start with this year's entry or next year's or maybe somewhere even further down the line. But we learned this week that WWE 2K25, aka the game that came out like 2.5, 3 months ago on other platforms, is coming to Switch 2, and it's coming out this very month. And
Oh,
if you haven't played the WWE 2K25, the game focuses very heavily on the Bloodline faction. If you're a pro wrestling fan, it also adds like additional story stuff, a manager mode, a card battling type of situation, but it also has the introduction of the island, which to me looks like the microtransaction laden city from NBA 2K. Like
pretty
they
much.
pitch it as a big feature, and I'm sure it is for some folks. But for me, like all these things do, all these like, hey, we're going to introduce like cosmetics that you can buy on in your single player career mode. All it does is dilute what I want from a single player career mode, right? Like I don't want to like have to be online in order to play like a career mode, or I mean I'm always online anyway, so it's not that it matters there, but it's like once it starts like creeping in like, hey, buy this for your character, it's like no, like I just let me unlock it like a normal video game. This is a $70 game. I don't want to have to pay extra for this. It's ludicrous. But it's coming to Switch 2 on July 23rd. And by the way, as NintendoLife.com points out, the eShop currently has a listing for it, and it says it is larger than 73 gigabytes, which
Oh my
means
god.
that you better figure out where to find some of those micro SD express cards pretty fast if you want to have this game on your Switch 2, because you only have 256 gigabytes on your Switch 2 to begin with. And, I am completely out of storage on my Switch 2, and there's so many games I have not even downloaded. Like games like Street Fighter 6 are like $50 or 50 gigabytes. Cyberpunk is like I think 60 gigabytes. So like it adds up fast when you're you're putting all these games. Like Nintendo games are remarkably small. Like I think like Mario Kart World something like 10 gigabytes, and like so Nintendo is very good at optimizing for its hardware. Other developers just said screw it, we're just going to put like the biggest version possible on this system that has no memory. So yeah, I am definitely keeping a lookout for. I know Lexar is one of the companies that sells, because you need the micro SD Express. That Express word is very, very important. Like the SDXC that worked on Switch 2 or Switch 1 will not work on Switch 2.
Oh.
So unless you just want to save screenshots and videos, that's the only thing it can save, or save
Mm.
data, I think, as well. But uh, yeah, I mean, I'm looking out for the 1 terabyte. I got a 256, and it filled up immediately. So I need
And,
another memory card, and they're all sold out everywhere.
and I'm thinking they talking about bringing Call of Duty to the Switch. How?
Oh my
do you know
god, I
how
didn't even
much?
think about that.
Do you know how much space that game takes up on my console? Like, I actually looked at it one day. I was like, all right, I gotta take this thing off here, man, because this isn't making any sense. How much space this is taking up, man? That I don't even understand why that wrestling game needs that much space. Maybe because of the island, I guess.
Yeah, the
I'm
island is
assuming,
35 gigs.
yeah, I'm assuming, So yeah, you know what the crazy part is? I didn't even explore the island. I have the game. I never even tried the island. I figured it's probably like the what's the other place in 2K? The
The city.
the city where they all start you with generic clothes and everyone's got the same shirt and pants, you know. I think I had joked one time there was like when one of the 2Ks they lock you in this area and you have to win like pickup games to get out. So it felt like everyone was wearing the same generic brown shirt and pants. I'm like, is this like prison? Because this is what it looks like. It's like you stuck in a yard playing basketball. And you got to win to get out to explore the city. I'm like, this is kind of like prison. Is this virtual prison? So I mean, hey, the 2K games, I must admit, they are fun. The wrestling 2K game, I'm glad they took a step back and said, you know what, we got to get these games right, because before The last three entries, man, those games were rough.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievably bad. So I'm glad they fixed this up for wrestling fans. Gave the wrestling fans a wrestling game that they can look forward to. Because it's been a while since I remember playing No Mercy and NWCW NWO Revenge on N64, and those games were like the pinnacle of
Yes.
greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like, man. So to get something close to that, something not there but something close, is I'm excited for them about that. So it's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I always say that NBA 2K uh, is fantastic on the court. It's everything off the court that sucks with the NBA 2K franchise. Everything on the court is fantastic. So I don't know. But we talked about Street Fighter having a big file size on Switch 2, but since it's on Switch 2, we can cover the news now. During Summer Game Fest, Capcom revealed its third year of DLC fighters for Street Fighter 6, and now we know when to expect that first character, and it is Sagat. So he will join Street Fighter 6 on August 5th, and before that, there will be a Sagat-themed fighting pass in celebration of his arrival with new colors, character illustrations, titles, stickers, music, avatar gear, and more. And then also, if you ever wanted to have your MMA with a little bit of South Beach flavor, Capcom is releasing swimsuit outfits for all of the characters. So you have that to look forward to as well. Are you a fighting game guy?
Yeah, I played some fighting games. Street Fighter Six, I played not played a lot, but it's pretty good. When I did pick it up, it was pretty good. I explored a little. They got their own version of a city now too, so I explored that a little bit. But as far as the fighting game, though, as far as the mechanics and things that they did, I think it's top tier. I was very impressed how Capcom still finds ways to reinvent the Street Fighter franchise and take it to new heights and to that nature. And I saw the new characters at Summer Game Fest, and I was like, wow, they look pretty good. Sagat looks amazing. I like his new design. He looks pretty good. Who's the other Sagat and who's the other two again?
I'm trying to think of who else were the other characters that are coming. Is Sea Viper one of them? I think. Let's look this up. Street Fighter 6 Year 3. It is Sagat, Sea Viper, Alex, and Ingrid.
Okay, yeah, people. You know what's crazy? I didn't know people like Alex so much. He's pretty popular, that character.
Yeah, I mean, well, he was like the protagonist of Street Fighter 3, and there's people who really go hard for Street Fighter 3. Like they love that one. Like I think that when we ranked all the fighting games, like we did like a top 25 fighting game ranking. I want to say Street Fighter 3 was ranked like maybe number 1. I don't even remember. Like it was pretty high up. That was back in like 27 or 2018, I want to say, but I am a big Street Fighter 6 fan. I'm excited for Sagat, and I got into the series through Street Fighter 2, like so many people, and so
Same.
I have a soft spot for any Street Fighter 2 character coming to pretty much any game, but like primarily like if they're coming to a Street Fighter game, like I am stoked for that.
Same. Yeah, Street Fighter Two was my jam, and the Super Nintendo, not my jam. Definitely hard, and Bison was ridiculously hard. So even if you put him down a few stars, it was still like okay. But like Street Fighter Two was definitely one of those games, and that holds a special place in my heart, from the arcade cabinet to my home. So
Same. Absolutely. That was another one of those ones that just ate so many of my quarters. And then eventually I got Street Fighter 2 Turbo on my SNES. And I was just like, all right, now I feel much better about all the losses I'm racking up against the computer.
because they're
Because
free,
I don't have to put a quarter every time I
got to put a
lose.
quarter anymore. Yep.
Exactly. We're going to end the news segment on this. Sega has been remastering several of its Sonic games over the past several years. We got Sonic Origins a few years ago. We had Sonic Colors Ultimate, and we just got a Sonic Generations remaster last year. And people have been speculating that perhaps a Sonic Adventure remake would be on the horizon. But according to a new interview with the head of Sonic Team, Takashi Iizuka, that actually seems unlikely. So in an interview with Shack News, he said, quote, I do hear the requests for a Sonic Adventure remaster a lot. I really am appreciative for everyone who likes the Sonic Adventure series, but when I think about what it would take to kind of bring that game up to the standards and expectations of what the modern gaming audience would want, I think it would be about as much time and energy as it would to make a new title. And then he
Mm.
continues, part of me is thinking maybe I should just make a brand new title, and that's why there's currently no plans. So, Bernard, I don't know if you're a big Sonic guy. I am. But say you're in charge of the Sonic franchise and putting together a roadmap. What is your plan for, like, let's say the next two big games?
The next two big games. Whew. I don't know. I might be a minority here, but I definitely enjoyed Sonic Frontiers a lot
Yeah, me
to
too.
the point I platinumed it. Uh, people
Wow.
people to this day ask me like, "You really platinumed this game?" I'm like, yeah, you did the fishing things. I was like, yeah, I did everything. I would definitely do another Sonic Frontiers. I really liked that game a lot. I thought it was not the greatest Sonic game, but I definitely do a follow up to that because it seemed to be pretty popular. It sold a lot. Last time I checked, they sold. They said they sold a lot of those games. So another Sonic Frontiers. Um, I don't know. I feel they've done remastered every Sonic game outside of Sonic Pinball. Like that, I don't know. You know, if they want to do that, why not bring back Sonic Pinball? Like I was another game I really enjoyed that nobody else really liked. I like Sonic Pinball. I may not be in a minority there, but I definitely think they should do another Sonic Frontiers game.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where they should
I
put
think
all
I'm
their
saying
focus.
Sonic Frontiers, like Sonic Frontiers 2, and then let's just go for it. Sonic Adventure 3. That is
Yeah,
my
oh,
pitch.
why not? Why not? With the crazy
But
storylines and all that, like why not, man? Why not?
yeah, I mean, hey, there's a lot of love for that, and I think that it would be a big hit if they did that. I see a lot of speculation that it might be a Sonic Heroes remake,
Oh,
which
okay.
it would. Or I don't know if you pay attention too much to the fan community of the Sonic franchise, but Sonic '06, one of the most despised games of all time, one of the most broken games of all time. There is a fan remake project called Project '06, Sonic P06 it goes by, and they're basically redoing all the physics. They're reworking like the world. They're basically changing so much about how that game plays, and apparently people are saying this is like one of the best 3D Sonic games now, even though it's like the bones of one of the worst games of all time. Like they're saying like this game actually rules now that they've like fixed all the physics and glitches and all that stuff that Sonic '06 came with when it shipped on 360. So like I want to try that out, even though like I think they've only done the Sonic campaign so far. Like there's also still like the Shadow campaign and the Silver campaign to do, and then also like the final like Super Sonic section where you play as all the other characters. But yeah, it is. I don't know like if maybe that would be something to collaborate with them on or something like that. Like they did Sonic Mania, which was bringing in a fan developer to make a Sonic game. I I could see them doing something like that if they really wanted to restore, like not restore. Sonic is riding high right now, but if they
No.
wanted to get like some real goodwill within the community, I think that bringing in somebody to fix Sonic '06 and then re-releasing it would be incredible. But yeah, I think that my pitch would be Sonic Frontiers 2 and then one of those three projects, either Sonic Adventure 3, Sonic Heroes Remake, or Sonic '06 like complete from the ground up rebuild.
I'm always fascinated how people can take a game that's pretty busted and fix it and make it workable and add these mods to it and sometimes a lot of companies don't really like care for that and they like snatch things down. But I always appreciate looking at when people can do that. I think it's really cool that people can have the skills to do these things on the fly pretty much and with limited resources and make their own damn near AAA games at home. I think that's pretty cool. I hope they work with him or a person and bring that game to people. Maybe charge people like 20, $25 to play it or something. I think that's cool. Put a up and coming developer on the map. Why not?
Yeah, I think that would be incredible. I don't know if they'll ever do it because then that would just like I feel like encourage some of that stuff to go down more. And they need to kind of protect their IP. So
Yeah,
they're not as protective over it as like Nintendo is, where Nintendo is, if you even like say Mario the wrong way, like if you're like a New Yorker and you say Mario, you are going to get a DMCA from Nintendo.
knock, knocking on your door, man. They confiscate all your Nintendo stuff, and that's just gonna happen. Nintendo's very, very notorious.
So
They are the mafia, boy. They crazy.
they will come for you. They've come for me a few times with my my merchandise, even stuff that doesn't say Nintendo on it. They have DMCA'd me.
Really?
So get the merchandise on Dashery while it exists. But that is all the news that we're going to cover for this week. We are going to take our first break of this episode, and when we return, we will be discussing both of our hands-on impressions of Donkey Kong Bananza. We will be right back. We are back, and both myself and Bernard took some time out of our very busy schedules last week to play 2 full hours of Donkey Kong Bananza. I had to fly in, Bernard, but you live in New Jersey, so that begs the question: are you a cab or subway guy?
I am a subway guy because cabs cost a lot of money. So,
True.
depending on where you're going though, but like from here to New York, it's like a little 30-minute train ride. It's like $8. So, and then you pay an additional $2.90 to take the MTA subway, New York subway. So it's $8 from New Jersey Transit and like $3 from New York City Transit. So it's not too bad. And then like Larry, it's like a walk from the train station to where the Nintendo secret headquarters where they do their previews at.
Now, I'm when I go to New York, and like, I grew up on the East Coast, so I drive my girlfriend crazy because I like to walk everywhere. Like if I'm in Lower East Side, I will walk to Upper West Side. I don't care. Like I will spend all day on my feet when I'm in New York. And like that's the same thing here in Minnesota. It's like I'm going to a concert. I would rather park further away than and like not have to worry about like finding a parking spot right by the venue. I'll just be like, okay, it's a mile and a half away. I'll just walk that. That's no big deal. And my girlfriend's like, are you kidding me? Like just pay like $25 to park in the garage or whatever. And like I don't know. I think that's an East Coast thing. And then I get up to LA and I'm like, man, like I just want to walk everywhere. And this is like the least walkable city on earth.
God, you cannot walk anywhere in LA. It's crazy.
Yeah, I love LA, but like it took me a little while because I wanted to walk everywhere. And you look at like Google Maps and you're like, oh, that's like 3 blocks away, not realizing that those blocks are like 5 times the like a normal block in a city. I don't know. It's like Vegas as well. Vegas, you will look at your map in Vegas and you'll be like, "Oh, that's super close." And then it takes like 2 hours to get there and you're drenched in sweat by the time you arrive at your destination. So, New York,
Look,
I have my problems with New York, but it's probably my favorite city in the US. So,
that's cool. Listen, you're talking to someone who's walked from Midtown Manhattan, 57th Street, all the way to Flatbush, Brooklyn.
oh
I've done it.
wow.
I didn't do it because I wanted to do it, but I did it. So I mean, hey, so when people talk about I'm opposed to that's a long walk, I'm like, man, y'all haven't seen nothing yet. I've literally walked through boroughs. When
Yeah.
we had the blackout that year, I was at work in Midtown. The only way to get home was walking. There was no trains, there was no cars. The cars are backed up. I had to walk. It took me 12 hours. I felt like 12
What?
hours. Yeah.
Holy crap.
It felt like I was in a cartoon where you're walking, but in the background is like you're moving. It's just the background changing. That's it. That's what it felt like. We had to stop every now and then, but like I think by the time we got home, we were like exhausted, man. It was I couldn't imagine walking that ever again.
yeah, why would you? Like
Nah, I couldn't imagine.
even as somebody who loves walking through cities, like that was like my big thing during COVID is I would just like drive to downtown Minneapolis and I would just walk around for like literally like 5 hours just because I wanted to get out of the house, and like I would just explore the downtown area, and it was completely abandoned for the most part, aside from people who lived there. So like, but yeah, I would not want
No,
to do that,
and it was in the middle of a heat wave. So,
which was exactly the situation when these Donkey Kong sessions were going on. Like
oh,
it was, I was like, oh, cool. I'm excited to go back to New York. And it's the first time I'd been to New York in probably 9 months or so. No, never mind. That's stupid because it was the Switch 2 event. I was in New York, but I was so busy I didn't get a chance to do anything in the city. So I was like, oh, let's see what's going on in the city. And then I looked at the weather and it was like 101 degrees. And I was like, never mind. Not going to be doing anything with that.
yeah,
So literally I just got lunch with a friend, got dinner with a friend, and then basically went to bed at like 10 p.m. because I had to be up early for my session. And you went the day before, I saw. Like
yeah.
they did like 2 days of events for this Donkey Kong Bonanza thing. And I saw you on Instagram post it, and I'm like, I should have hit up Bernard. Like I should have hung out with him. Like I didn't realize he was going to be in the city. But yeah, like it talk me through like what your experience was attending this event, because like for me it was like, you get up there, have like a snack from their snack bar. They had like a banana split bar that
They
you could
had,
go to.
they
They
had an
had like,
ice cream bar. They had chocolate covered bananas.
oh, we didn't have the chocolate
Some
covered bananas. I don't think I had that.
they didn't have chocolate covered bananas. Oh man, that's sad. They had some like how you say those things? Bruschetta boards, the charcuterie boards,
Charcuterie.
charcuterie boards, but they put them in like cones. So they were as little. They had like them. They had the meat in like cones, and the vegetables in another cone. So it was cool. And they had like these specialty drinks. So they had like some like power drink and some other thing. It was cool. It was a little neat thing, or you just got some sparkling water if that's what you wanted, or Coke or whatever, and an ice cream truck, ice cream cart,
Yeah,
which was perfect for that day. You know,
it really was. So now that we've talked about we reviewed the food at this event, did you get to start your session with a game chat from Bill Trinan?
yes, I did. That was pretty cool seeing that. Because when I first saw the feature when they first announced it, I wasn't overly impressed with it. I was like looking at it like, okay, I don't know if I would be using this thing a lot, but now that I've seen him use it and talk to us through there, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe it's not such a bad idea. I play with friends on this, and because it's funny, true story. I have the Sony PlayStation camera, and I've never used it.
Same.
Never. It sits on the top of my TV. Never used it. So I'm like, maybe I would use this because the way he used it, I was like, this actually makes, because the way they showed it wasn't impressive to me. It didn't really like blow my mind. But now that I saw him use it, I'm like, oh, okay. He's doing this a whole like PowerPoint presentation style on this thing. This is pretty cool. I'm like, all right, this thing has more than one use. I like that. I was very impressed.
Yeah, like I said in the first segment, I really hope they continue to iterate on the game chat functionality, just because it's so stupid that you can't add new people. That's the dumbest thing. Like, I can't believe that like they're still playing catch up to Xbox Live parties from like 2007.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just still a new thing for them. So
Yeah,
still
fingers
working out
crossed.
the kinks.
But during that presentation, it was all stuff that we knew before. But he did officially confirm what I've been saying I knew from the start of Donkey Kong Bonanza's existence, and that is it is developed by the Super Mario Odyssey team, which is a huge mark of quality, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mario Odyssey, my favorite 3D platformer of all time. So I'm excited for that. Like having this be like kind of the successor to Mario Odyssey is really exciting to me. It plays that way too. Let's get into the gameplay. It's a nice jumping on point right there. You start in the Ingot Isles mines, And that's where I started in my hands-on session back at the Switch 2 reveal event. And it's basically a tutorial area. You
Hmm.
go around, you learn that you can like, punch through walls. Like you press the left face button and it like Y, and it's a punch sideways. You press X, it's a punch
Let's
upwards.
push
You
up.
press B, it's punch downward, and then A is jump. And uh like that's really the main gameplay. Like, there's obviously like other moves you can do, like the ground pound or like
The
the ground
roll.
slap, the roll, stuff like that. But really, destruction is like at the core of this game.
Hmm.
This was your first time playing it. I already talked a little bit after, like on the Switch 2 reveal episode, about my impressions, but how did you feel about the way Donkey Kong handles, about the way the environment controls, and the way the environment like breaks down?
Um, it's been a while for me since I played like a Donkey Kong game. I'm really gonna age myself again. The last Donkey Kong game I played was Donkey Kong Country 2.
Mm.
But I was surprised. I was just surprised at how well he handles, how fast he moves, how snappy the controls were, how smooth everything was as far as like him climbing, getting into climbing moves, or just punching down to the ground and literally just picking up the gravel and throwing it. It was really like, I've heard good things about it. I've heard a lot from the previews about how many people were surprised with this game, but seeing it firsthand, and it looked really good. Like I was really blown away at the facial animation, because I'm not used to seeing Donkey Kong like this. This is a new look for Donkey Kong. He's normally he looks more menacing most of the times. But this one he's more sillier.
Hmm.
But he still is a powerful character. But he has more personality, and everything showed. And it just I was very very impressed from the jump once I had the controller in my hand. And also I gotta say, that Switch 2 Pro controller is like one of the greatest controllers ever made. I must admit that. The only thing is it feels a little backwards for me, because even the person that was like doing my the watch me play, he was like, "Let me guess, you play other consoles more than this one." I was like, "Yeah, cause I could tell." Because how you press Y, it does. You thinking Y does something else, but it does something else, and it's backwards. But I must say that controller, bar none, is like top three for me. It's a really good controller. But
It's
yeah,
fantastic. I actually, so when the Switch 2 came out, I was like, oh, I'll just use my Switch 1 Pro controller. And I was using that. And then I was at Target. No, I don't know where I got it from. I got it from somewhere, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to pull the trigger on this. And I am so happy I did, because that controller is incredible. I'm playing Breath of the Wild right now again, and it feels so good on this controller.
that I was like, I think I first experienced it at the IO event at Summer Games Fest, IO Interactive event. They was previewing Hitman on Switch 2, and I was like, damn, this controller is fantastic. It was like the deep the everything just smooth, everything feels good. This is amazing, man. I feel like this is just good quality. Like it'll last a lifetime, even if you don't pick it up in a while, man. I like this just feels really good. But yeah, I was very impressed from the jump. Once, even in the tutorial, like this game is it's what really struck me was the fact that Nintendo's normally they normally with their consoles they come out the gate with a Mario game. So for them to say flip the switch and say let's do it with Donkey Kong this time around, and I can see why, because this game is, I think, is gonna be when it fully launches, it's really groundbreaking of what you can do in it. I think, as
Mhm.
far as the mechanics and control and the way Donkey Kong feels, this is not like any other way you ever experienced Donkey Kong. Maybe if you played the 3D Donkey Kong, maybe I never played that one. I don't know how he felt in that. I can imagine he probably felt like Mario and Mario 64 kind of, but
It was more like Banjo Kazooie, like in terms of
oh
the
okay,
controls, because it was developed by Rare.
oh
So it
right
was
right,
like the same studio that did Banjo Kazooie, but like
Tui,
it also, like, it was such a collectathon that, like, to its detriment, it was too, that was like the official, like, we've gone too far with like these collectibles. Like there were like levels where you'd have to be a certain character in order to collect certain collectibles. So like you'd see it and you'd be like, oh, I should just grab that. And you're like, oh, I need to be this other character. So you have to like walk back, go to the character change, then walk back up to there and get up there. It was ridiculous. This seems like they've streamlined a lot about like the Donkey Kong 3D platforming formula. And it's really encouraging of exploration, and the destruction is a huge part of that. It's still very collectible heavy. Like, you're finding treasure chests that have maps. Those maps show you where fossils are. You're looking for like the banana chips, which are currencies that you can buy like outfits for both you and Pauline, who is your companion. And then there's obviously the Banandium gems, which are the main collectible that like get you through. And that also powers your skill points. As you collect a certain number of Banandium gems, you unlock skill points that you can level up. And the skill points are like, health, punch power, better collection. There's a jump shot where like you can jump up in the air and then throw it straight down and I guess like create like a crater. You can like, because when you're holding a chunk of ground, if you roll while you're holding that, you actually surf on that piece of land.
Okay.
There's an unlockable skill point where you can do that over water, which is going to be extremely helpful. But yeah, I mean, I think that they've really encouraged exploration and finding the secrets, which is my favorite part of games like Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, is just exploring these areas. And like, yeah, I'll do like the missions and the quests and everything, and the little tasks and the collectibles. But really, I just want to find cool stuff in these worlds. And it really seems like they're doubling down on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think there was one point during my preview, like I started this level and like I just started punching down and like and then like I punched down and then like I went across and then I ended up at where I was supposed to be. But the guy that was my guide there. He's like, no one's ever did this. He was like, I'm actually pretty amazed. Like, no one's ever taken this route to get to this banana gem. This is pretty cool. He was like, this. So like, I love that you can find different ways to get to the goals. Like, you don't have to. There's no one way. You can literally like, you don't even have to just punch down. It feels like you can punch down forever. That's how destruction level it is. It feels like you can literally punch your way off the map if you wanted to. And then like I remember just literally parts where just you can jump up and form a path going up and punching through walls and whatever like that, or finding to get through some obstacles you gotta like make a path down and go underneath it and then come back up. And just to see him easily just go through walls and navigate the maps and I like I said, I've never seen destruction. I play a lot of video games and it has like destruction values to it, but I've never seen it so well used as a tool as a game mechanic to encourage you to explore the world. Not even like go through the levels, streamline and go through, just find things and look around and encourage you to find and incentivize you to go looking for these collectibles and things like that, because like you said, it could be tedious out while you could get bored with it. You get tired of having to find, like in the rare games, RARE. Like, I don't want to find it anymore. I'm tired. Like now here, like you want to find every banana. You want to find all the fossil pieces because plus each of those pieces are useful. They serve a purpose. So that's another thing. Like these things all serve a purpose, and you should find them as much of them as you can. So I definitely was very, very impressed with the destructibility mechanic in this game, because that was what the big sell was. But you don't know what it is until you see it with your own eyes, and to see it with your own eyes is like, wow, like this might be a groundbreaking game for Nintendo. This might be the game that convinces people to buy a Switch 2. No knock on Mario Kart. I get it. That's Mario Kart. But like I don't think the Switch 2 definitely has that game yet. And I think Donkey Kong Bananza could be that game.
Agreed. I mean, this is kind of the game that I think like people saw Mario Kart World and they're like, okay, yeah, obviously I want Mario Kart. Everybody loves Mario Kart. Like even non-gamers love Mario Kart. But for the people who have been like looking for something all new, or like, people have been waiting for like the system sellers are typically like, a Mario game, a Zelda game, or just insert your favorite niche franchise. Like the new
Franchise,
game
right?
from like Metroid Dread was probably a system seller in some capacity for the Switch One. Animal Crossing New Horizons was obviously a system seller when that came out in 2020.
Yep.
But like I think that Donkey Kong Bonanza might slot in the absence of a 3D Mario game to be like this is like the platforming game that you can only get from Nintendo, and this is what you've been waiting for. And it certainly feels that way. It feels like admittedly, Donkey Kong Bonanza did not really click with me in like the 20-minute demo that I played in April because it was like so much going on. I didn't have really any direction. It was just like, okay, yeah, you're loose in this area. Like I got to play the Ingot Islands back then, and then I think it took me to Lagoon Lair, which was also the first place that we played in this demo. And it was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just running around punching stuff. They're like telling me how to play while I'm like exploring. And then, there were some areas that were like kind of like blocked off. Like I found
Black
a
off.
challenge area, and it was like, oh nope, that's not in this demo. Sorry, I got to go back up to the thing. And I'm like, oh, come on. So this one, it was like wide open, right? Like we had free reign of these areas. And like I said, Lagoon Lair was the first area that we were put in, the first main area. And
Hmm.
this is where, we got to really get a feel for the exploration. We got to take on challenge courses, combat courses, which, challenge courses range from everything from like avoiding like making your way through an area with like there's thorns and stuff like that you have to avoid. There's another one where it was like you're hanging from like the ceiling and you got to like climb through like almost like a ninja warrior obstacle course where it's like there's
Sure.
walls that are rotating and you got to avoid getting knocked down. And at the end there's a Banandium gem, and then there's also an optional Banandium gem in each one, at least one
Hmm.
optional one. I think most of them have 3 total.
Three. Yeah.
um so yeah, it's like it's encouraging of exploration even within these like linear challenge courses, which is really fun. It's almost like the shrines in Breath of the Wild where it's like, yeah, you could just go beeline straight towards the spirit orb, but then also there's like a
The
chest
princess in the
somewhere.
corner. Yep.
Yeah, and you got to
That
figure out how
chest.
to get up there. And that's the same thing for these Banandium gems. And I had a blast with the challenge course. I also played the 2D challenge course that is in the final layer, and I was like, I really want to see how Donkey Kong handles. Like I brought this up a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct. I was like, I want to see how he handles in 2D. So I actually had the Nintendo people come over and direct me to like where is one of the 2D levels. And they like were like, oh yeah, it's right here. You got to go around here and find it. And I found one, and it was like a barrel blasting one, and but I still got a feel for like what it feels like to run around in 2D and jump around, because like I brought it up 2 weeks ago where it's like, okay, yeah, like 2D, like a 3D platformer transitioning to 2D perspective sometimes doesn't really capture the feeling of a
Hmm.
good 2D platform. Like look at Sonic Generations. I love Sonic Generations. I think that the 2D gameplay is nowhere near as good as the 2D gameplay in like a traditional Sonic game, like on
Nope.
Genesis.
Right.
So like it's just something is lost in that translation when you're operating with a 3D focused engine, that it just doesn't translate properly. I am happy to report that is not the case with Donkey Kong
Case.
Bonanza. It feels so good in 2D. It feels like a Donkey Kong Country game. In the small sample size that I
Hmm.
had, you got to it as well. It seems. Did you see any like big problems, like red flags with like how the 2D handles?
No, that 2D panel. I remember doing one of the barrel challenges. And I think I was really. It's like you had to navigate through those vine areas, and the barrels go like one barrel goes this way, another barrel goes this
Yeah.
way, then one turns around. And I was like, it really brought. It was very nostalgic. It just made me feel like I was playing Donkey Kong Country again. I was like, yeah, this feels so good. Like I think I was in that challenge when to the point where he was like, all right, you got to go explore the rest of the map, because I was in there trying to beat it because I kept dying on it. But yeah, it was just really cool just to see how all the different challenges and how easy, how swiftly, how smoothly it transitioned from 3D to 2D, and it still felt as good as playing in a 3D 3D game. So it just was really impressive. The I didn't really see any red flags as far as that's concerned.
Yeah,
It
it
felt
felt
sweet.
great. In the lagoon layer, let's go, I guess, layer by layer here of what we saw. Lagoon layer, kind of like a beachy area, and it has like this air, this mechanism up at the top, and it had three plugs in at the top, and you had to go around, and like your main objective was to reach these pillars, and you
Break.
had to throw like a hard piece of terrain at the pillars to destroy them, and when you did that, it ripped one of the plugs out and it dropped water down onto the level, and it rose the level up, kind of like Wet Dry World in Super Mario 64, where you're like playing with like the water levels, and as the water goes up, you can reach new areas.
Areas.
So that was super cool. I had a great time with that, and then at the end of that, after you complete that, you meet the Elder Kong, and he gives you your first Kong Bonanza, and your first Bonanza transformation, and it is Kong Bonanza, and it's basically just like a
Super.
souped up version of Donkey Kong. He looks like he has like fire on him, and he's like he can punch super hard. Yeah, so like, how did you feel about this transformation?
Yeah, he looked like a. I was joking. He looked like a Super Saiyan
He
to
did
me.
a little
Like
bit.
he looks like a Super Saiyan. But I thought it was cool. I actually enjoyed that. And the way he does it, the way it happens, it's pretty cool. As far as like how how you trigger it. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if we want to get to that part yet, but like the way they show you how to trigger it and how you can. What I really appreciate is that you can use it as often as you like. Like you can really like. It's not very limited to. You can use it constantly. So that was a big plus for me too. Just using it as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, you basically just trigger it, right? It's the two shoulder buttons at the same time, right, or something like that.
Yeah, you gotta build up the. I forget. You gotta get a certain number of coins, and then you press the two trigger buttons, and it activates.
Okay, yeah. And it lasts like, a relatively short time, but like it's super powerful. Like you can punch through steel, you can like one shot pretty much any terrain, which is really powerful. There's a boss battle that I played later on, and I intentionally did not do the Kong Bonanza because I was like, it's going to be too easy if I do the Kong Bonanza in this battle. Um, but you can do it on a boss battle and just like plow through it
Do it.
essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I did with a comment as that, and I was like relatively like shocked how easy that
Yeah.
was. I was like, yeah, this is too easy. I don't think I'm gonna do that again with another boss battle. But like, I do appreciate that. It gives you options on how you want to play the game. If you want to abuse it, you can. It's
Mhm.
there for you. They don't tell you no. So I did appreciate that. And there's others, and we haven't gotten there yet, but there are other bonanzas. But the first one was pretty cool. I did like, and then you could do challenges as a
Mhm.
Kong Bonanza. You have to literally be in the Kong Bonanza to do these certain challenges.
Oh, that one was one of my favorites too. Like if it's the same one where it's like you had to enter as the Kong Bonanza and then you have it through the entire challenge course, but it was basically like you're on like an unfinished building and you basically need to bring the building down.
Yes,
So
it's
you're
like
using the Kong Bonanza to punch through all the terrain and just like wreak as much havoc as
havoc as
possible
possible.
to try to
Yes.
bring this building down. It was so cool.
It's like Rampage. I was like, yeah, it's like playing
Oh
Rampage with
my gosh,
Kong.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, this is so cool, man. And then like he showed up, but and the crazy part is I had such a hard time doing it, but there was a cool thing we did that made it easier. He's like, all right, we could do this. I'm gonna show you something to make it even easier. I guess we want to touch on that next with
The
the
co-op?
yes, he showed me
Yes.
co-op
So
that way.
the before we move on from the Bonanza, one thing that I really appreciate, if you like the music in Mario Odyssey,
Oh,
like
you
the
know that.
vocal tracks in particular, like Jump Up Superstar, and I forget what the final one is that plays near the end of the game. You get a new Pauline song for each Bonanza transformation. So that's something that I'm really excited about. And the ones that we've heard, all certified bops, in my opinion. So very much looking forward to the soundtrack
Facts.
here.
Facts.
We next up we went to the canyon layer, and true to its name, it's kind of like a Wild West style setting, and like even the outfits you can buy for Pauline and yourself are like Wild West themed. Like I think she has like a cowgirl outfit and everything.
Mhm.
But this is where we did that boss battle against Grumpy Kong, and then also got to do some co-op. And co-op just basically works like, the second player controls Pauline, you control Donkey Kong as you normally would, but Pauline, using either the motion controls, gamepad controls, or the mouse mode,
Mouse control. Yeah.
yeah, can aim her like vocal blasts, and you can even copy like different terrain. Like if she wants to shoot steel, she can look at a steel thing and like hold down a button and copy it, and then every vocal blast is going to be steel. It seems like it's going to be extremely overpowered, but like,
Oh, it's super overpowered. It's super. We did a boss with that, and the boss didn't stand. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't. Maybe if I get stuck on a boss, you want to use that. But like, it was the boss battle was not even like 3 minutes. It was over pretty fast, man.
yeah.
In that
So
mode.
it is a little
But
annoying because she's constantly like, yeah, 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 wow, go DK, and it's like, oh my god, shut up.
and then it's just to see the pows across the screen, pow, pow, pow. But it's cool to see it. I was very impressed with the mouse controls. Like we did it in a mouse way, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
it looks silly, but because you had it on your legs doing it. But like same time, I was like, this is cool though. This is a pretty. I didn't when I first saw the mouse mode, I was like, really? But then using it, I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool, man. Like leave it to Nintendo to find another way to like play their games, man. They these guys, man.
Dude, just wait until you have a chance to play Civilization 7 with it or Metroid Prime 4 with it, because it'll change your perception on the mouse controls being like completely unnecessary. Also, Super Mario Party Jamboree, the Switch 2 version that's coming out, I think this month, has some really cool new mini games that are like using mouse mode that are super fun if you're a Mario Party fan. Let's get to the boss battle. So basically, Grumpy Kong, he's an employee of Voidco, which is the corporation that is like drilling to the planet's core, and you're trying to beat them to it. Uh, Grumpy Kong shows up and basically builds like this like golem of like different terrain. Like I think like the bottom is rock, the middle is like steel or something, and then the top is like dirt. And you just got to chip away at all the different terrain. And he has a club that's made of rock as well. And like he was swinging it at me. He was actually roughing me up for a little bit. I was like, man, like how am I going to take this guy down? He keeps like hitting me every time I come close. I found out that like, if he swings and like lands on the ground, you can jump on his club and rip parts of his club out. So I actually ripped his club all the way down to it was just like this little like twig basically, and he would swing at it and it would do absolutely nothing unless like I was standing like right underneath of him. It was hilarious how much like I basically neutered him in his attack, because like it was just like, yeah, it was nothing after that. And then I could just like, pick up terrain and smash it into him,
That's
and it
what.
was doing like a bunch of damage. And then at the very end, you just jump up and just beat the crap out of him. Like he's like he emerges off the top like Grumpy Kong, and you just wail on him to beat him. And it was fun, and it really showed like how they're leaning into like these mechanics in ways that are going to affect how not only your exploration goes, but like your encounters with these enemies.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I don't know if I don't think I got to every boss fight because I got like I said I spent a lot of time exploring. I think there were point of times when someone was literally like, "Did he do this? Did he do this? Can you get him to this point?" Because I was doing too much exploring at some points. So I think I didn't do the grumpy boss battle, but
Oh,
I didn't do that battle. I'm actually hearing this is my first time hearing about that. But yeah, like just like you said, fighting. There's different kinds of enemies throughout the map, and like they all require different kinds of you to approach them in different ways. Like there are other enemies that carry clubs too that I encountered, and like there's certain ways you have to take them out. Like there's a terrain that's like purple. I don't know what it's made out of, but like it's explosive. If you
oh
take it
yeah.
and you throw it, and it just clears the board. Like that's how crazy strong it is. And like just seeing that, or like even if you just swing it, there's some terrain if you keep it in your hand and swing at them, and it's just super strong. Like gold, for instance, if you use gold and hit them with it, super strong. But I was like you said when you explained the grumpy battle, I was pretty much. I'm kind of sad I didn't experience that part because that sounds like super fun. I'm sad I missed that part.
It was definitely a highlight of my gameplay. And then the final level that we reached was the forest layer. This is where we got to play around with the ostrich bonanza, where you can basically kind of flutter and
Cool.
glide a little
Right.
bit.
Or drop bombs. You can
Or
drop
drop bombs.
bombs.
Yeah, that's a skill point that you can use because you can also upgrade the bonanzas individually. So like you can upgrade like the Kong bonanza's punching power or the ostrich bonanza's like length that it can flutter or the give it like the egg bombs. So that's super cool. That level had poison water, like a lot of thorny enemies and obstacles,
Hmm.
but like I think this was the first time where I was like, oh, this is kind of challenging. Like
Yeah, I was
this.
about to say that it was definitely more challenging of the other levels. I think they do, and also I noticed before each level there's a terrain meter. Uh, I don't know if they really explained that to you. Like there was like a meter, like they tells you the level of terrain.
Oh.
I guess you can go through. I don't know. Maybe that was the challenge, the difficulty of each level, but it was definitely like a. I thought it just had something to do with as far as the what you could punch through, what you needed to punch through the ground,
Hmm.
because like there's a meter between each terrain level 3 or terrain level 4
Oh,
each
interesting. I
level.
didn't I didn't
Yeah.
notice that. I know that like each level had like its own like SL number, which I think is just like what level it is like in the
Hmm.
game. Like Lagoon level was SL 100 and 101. Canyon was SL 200, I think, and then I know that Forest Layer was SL 600, so it jumped ahead quite a bit if that numbering is consistent. Um, I think Forest Layer was actually my favorite just because it was that challenge of like, okay, yeah, this is like I can see why like this game does actually have some difficulty to it. It's not just destructibility for fun's sake. It's like no, there's actual meaning behind this, and it's going to make it so that like you have to destroy stuff in the right way in order to progress. Like there was one where it's like you're up on a tree like branch and there's a big thorn thing wrapped around it. There's no way around it unless you like smash through the tree root where there's like a little bit of gold. Then you tunnel through the tree branch and like come out the other side. And it's
Yeah.
really cool how they're working it and they're breadcrumbing it about what you need to do. My the whole time I was like, oh my god, like this is finally clicking for me. This is finally the game that I want Nintendo to put out. I was like, I can't wait to get this at my house because then I can finally make like progress and like all these collectibles I'm finding are going to be like saved on my save file. I was feeling so excited the longer it went on. The only negative that I can point out is I ran into several sequences where there were performance issues.
Mm.
Like not like anything too egregious, but like, oh, the frame rate is dropping noticeably here. Uh, I don't like. I'm always going to give like developers who are. It's not the game's not out yet. To be clear, so they may still be optimizing. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt in that regard. But it is a little concerning that this is the second AAA first party game on this brand new system that is so much more powerful than the last generation of their hardware, and we're already seeing potential frame rate issues. And of course, we're going to reserve judgment until we have the final game in our hands. But that was a little bit of like a pink flag, we'll call it. Not quite a red flag because it wasn't again, it was not Scarlet Violet levels of like bad performance. It was just like oh, this is no longer running at 60 frames per second. This is running at like, it dipped down to like 24, 30, something like that for just a couple of seconds. It wasn't even like sustained, but it was a little bit concerning that this brand new system was struggling to run a first party game so early on.
Hmm.
But even
Yeah.
struggling to run is maybe a little bit too strong. It was just like, it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, they made sure to warn me about it. It was like, yeah, you may experience some frame rate drops at certain areas, but pay no mind, it's still an early build. That's exactly what they told me.
Oh,
So,
they didn't tell me that, I don't think.
oh, they didn't tell. Maybe because someone knows it ahead of my preview or whatever like that, before me. But they definitely told me like there was like you may experience some frame rate drops. This is an early build.
Well,
All
hey,
right, cool.
if they are giving that caveat, then that makes me feel a lot better because like I said, early builds, games that are not out yet, optimization is often one of the final steps before they launch. So
Mm.
there is that to kind of hang our hats on in hopes that, like, you know, this will run as well as it should as a brand new system. Um, so yeah, just wanted to point that out. It's not any kind of cause for alarm, but there were noticeable dips at some points.
Mhm.
Uh,
I mean, I'm my thing with it is that as someone who's reviewed games, who reviews them and things like that, I notice these things more than some other people do. So some other people may not even really care to notice those things. That but I do get it. I understand what you're saying. This is supposed to be the Switch 2. This is a powerful, but this is the most powerful Switch, better than the Switch 1, which had games in it that looked outright bad. Like ran like crap. This is supposed to be no longer an issue, and this is your first. Outside of Super Mario Kart, this is your first big game coming on the console. You don't want this to be a problem on there. You don't want this to be people say, well, I thought this wasn't going to be an issue here. Like, I thought we were going to be getting some better, better running games. If this looks like this, then what's Pokemon gonna look like? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because Pokemon is notoriously bad. No matter how good everything else is, the game runs like crap. But people, the only thing they have on is the people just love the game so much that they don't care. Like, so they play it through. So we'll see what happens. Like you said, they did warn me though. I'll say
okay.
that they give me a heads up.
Well, that gives me hope. Bernard, any closing thoughts before we put a bow on this Donkey Kong Bonanza hands-on preview?
I'll say this: if there was a game that made me want to really get a Nintendo Switch, it'd probably be a Nintendo Switch 2. It'd probably be this game because like I said, I've heard a lot about it, but I didn't see it outside of the direct and actually hearing and seeing like what they're talking about. Getting hands on with it, it literally showcases what the Nintendo Switch 2 can do, and I think it also provides, if people who've been looking for a game like Super Mario Odyssey, gives them that game to play on the go again, and it gives you a mechanic that's just like what I think is a groundbreaking, not groundbreaking, but like well, you are groundbreaking, but like a mechanic that I think really pushes the console to its full potential as far as the destructibility and being able to, spend so much time on these levels and take your time with the game and have fun with it again. And even if you don't want to collect everything, you don't have to, but I give you a reason to do these things and collect all these things because collecting things can be tedious and some games really go overboard with it. But I feel like it's warranted in this game. You should go out and look for these treasure chests and use the sonar thing and hit the tuning fork, which was another cool thing I like too. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Just explore. Like, this game pushes you to explore instead of just going straight through it. Like, and I really, really appreciated that because I'm a very much stickler for. I'm a completionist when I play my game. I like to complete things to there's nothing else to do. And I feel like this game actually challenges that in me, and I appreciate that. So I'm looking forward to playing this game, getting hands on it before the release date, and see what more is in store for it. And hopefully those hiccups, the frame rate issues, are not a thing. And not a thing. Who knows? But like you said, we tend to get early builds even with our review codes or review keys. So those things aren't even running perfect most of the time. They'll definitely warn us about that. So again, we shall see. And how
Absolutely.
much this game's gonna cost too? Is this one gonna be the $80 game?
I think it's a $70 game, but
$70 game?
let's see here. It is, according to the Nintendo Switch eShop, as it loads. I'll give my impressions while the eShop loads. I think that it is $70. So the 20-minute demo, I mentioned that did not do it for me. Like, it was just like, okay, that seems fun, but it's not really like something that I'm going to be like circling on my calendar. To keep it short and sweet, this demo completely changed that. This demo made it so this is going to be like, yeah, I love Mario Kart. It's a very important franchise in my life. I love Mario Kart World. I think Mario Kart World is fantastic. One of the best, if not the best, Mario Kart game yet. Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be the killer app for Switch 2 for me in these early goings anyway. Like, obviously, whenever a Mario game or a Zelda game or whatever comes out on Switch 2, that'll probably supplant it. But, like, it's like right now for the rest of the year for Switch 2, it's like Donkey Kong Bonanza, Pokemon Legends ZA, and Metroid Prime 4 are like the three that I'm really, really like looking forward to. Can't wait to get my hands on. And we are only 2 short weeks away from Donkey Kong Bonanza coming to Switch 2 on July 17th. We are going to take our final break of this episode. When we get back, we're going to do definitive ranking. We will be right back. We are back, and it's time for Definitive Ranking, a recurring segment where we take a Nintendo topic and give our own personal top 5 lists. Since this episode was all about Donkey Kong Bonanza, Bernard, I want to get your top 5 games with destructible elements. So start at 5, count it down to 1, give me a quick sentence or two about each.
I will start with Battlefield Bad Company series from Dice and EA.
Ooh.
Oh, those games had amazing destructible capabilities. Like the way you could just blow up houses and like just make paths going through the houses to take out enemy soldiers. I really, the Battlefield series has taken a hit lately, but I still think as far as destruction is concerned, that's like one of the rare first person shooters that like has it like down pat. Like it's always amazing to see how Dice and EA can like implement that into the game and how they use it. Even in like during the multiplayer, just like the little events, the skyscrapers will go down and things like that. So, but definitely the Bad Company series was really the like pinnacle when it came to like destruction and taking things, blowing things up. I was always impressed with that. So that would be my first one. Okay, yeah, my next title will be the Hulk Ultimate Destruction. I think it's like one of the rare games that really like made you feel like the Incredible Hulk, literally just hopping across the map and literally just destroying anything in your path, using anything as you want as a weapon, like turning cars into like little fists, whatever. It was pretty cool. For some reason, they had a mechanic where the Hulk can actually like use like a car as cover, like hide underneath it and crawl with it. I don't know why they put that in there, but it was literally like when Snake hides in a cardboard box, but like the Hulk beneath a car. So I mean, it's stupid, but I think that's one of the cool games as far as destruction, the destruction mechanic is concerned. Next on my list is Mad Max. Yes, did you play Mad Max?
I didn't. We did a cover story for it, but I never actually played it.
That's right, you did. I had that copy too. That game was surprising to me. Actually, it was very surprising because I was like, they don't feel like enough people talked about this game. The car mechanics, as far as destructibility with the cars, was really good. As far as like when the cars hit each other and like the parts fly everywhere, or you hit them with the harpoon and pull off parts, or when you got inside storms with the cars, it just was really really good seeing the Mad Max's car just falling apart and just or him destroying the other car, just ramming and running through other cars. I was very impressed with that game. I think I played it on. I think it was like part one of the like a free game or one of the services was given. I was like, man, why didn't I play this when it came out? So it was really. Another one for me would be King of Monsters, and this game is from 1991.
Wow.
It was on Genesis, yeah, King of Monsters. Uh, it was like I think it wasn't like graphically mind blowing, but like to see these two gigantic characters fight on these maps, and you're like stepping on like the power plants and all the little buildings, and while you're fighting each other, I think it was like pretty cool. I think I used to play it a lot in the arcade too when it was in the arcade. Uh, and for my last one is Red Faction Gorilla. I think that game is another one in itself, like really took destruction to another level as far as like you can literally like dig holes into like caverns and make hole to go through another place, or you can literally destroy every and any and everything in that game. I think that was one of the games that really like had that mechanic. And that's what was its selling point, and it really used it well as far as and it was also good. It had a great story. Red Faction games are pretty. I think they're underrated. I don't think a lot of people really talk about.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it really gave. If it wasn't a Red Faction, it probably wouldn't be a Metro to me. Like I think it gave the blueprint to those other games as far as the story wise and what it was. I really feel it's not talked about enough. I really feel like Red Faction came and went, and hopefully maybe somebody brings it back with with the new consoles, and you can take it to another level. Because I feel like
Ooh.
I don't think you really seen destruction as good as it was back when that when Red Faction Gorilla came out, because I think everyone was blown away with that.
Agreed 100%. We only have one overlapping entry on these lists here.
Really,
So I'll start mine. Number 5 for me was an original Xbox shooter called Black.
Black. I
And
knew it was
this was
gonna bring
by
Black. E,
It was so
EA.
good. Like that was like the first game that really like showed me that like destructible environments could like really change the way a game plays. Like you could take a shotgun and blast a hole in the wall, and I know Rainbow Six Siege has since done that. That's an honorable mention for me, is that like
Mhm.
Rainbow Six Siege does a lot of really cool stuff with destructible environments. Not on my list though, because I've just never been like a big Siege guy, even though I've
Me
had a
either.
blast every time I've played it with a good crew. But Black was like really the innovator in that. Like you could throw a grenade and it would blow up a wall, and you could just like cut through the level that way. That was such a novel experience back then. That was by Criterion, who
Criterion.
may or may not have another
Burnout.
game on this list.
Uh,
Yeah. So
Burnout.
number 4 for me is Just Cause 4. Like being able to like basically like attach things to other things and then have them like go flying off into orbit or whatever. Like it's just the level of destructibility in the Just Cause series is nearly unparalleled, and it's so much fun. It's just the story itself is whatever, but like as a playground, as like a sandbox, it is maybe the best there ever is. Like
Hmm.
it's just so much fun to exist in that and like just mess with everything that there is in like the physics engine in that. Uh, Number 3 for me is kind of an outside the box pick, I think, and that is Worms. I don't know if you've ever played the Worms games, but like it's a 2D like PvP game where you have your set of worms, they have theirs, and everybody takes a turn, and you have all different weapons. Like you pick up like a rocket launcher, a machine gun, but all the environments are like destructible. So like if you shoot like an area that has like explosive barrels and like you completely miss the enemy, but you hit like a ledge that has like explosive barrels, those explosive barrels can fall down and take out the enemy. It's like super destructible, and I had so much fun when that game came to Xbox Live Arcade back in the day. uh One of my favorite XBLA games of all time, and I know the series has gone on from there, but like that's the only entry that I care about really, is that first one on. I know it existed before XBLA, but that was the version that I played, was like the re-release of it.
The re-release. Yeah.
uh Number 2, Burnout 3 Takedown. And
Ooh.
destruction really is the name of the game in this one, right? Like you are smashing cars, it's a racing game, but like really you're just like, for me the goal was always just like, how many other racers can I like run into like bridges, or how many other racers can like I just push off into like a ditch and like watch their cars spectacularly like roll over time after time or explode or whatever. Like it felt so satisfying, and like to the point that it was like the core mechanic of that game, even though the racing itself was also pretty sound.
Hmm.
So it earns a place pretty high on my list. And number 1, Red Faction Guerrilla. Just an incredible implementation of the destruction mechanics. It was a game that was very fun in its own right, but also the destruction mechanics really made that game what it was, and it was
Yes.
just fantastic. An excellent implementation of it. It was like they had a vision for it, and they delivered on it perfectly. And I believe the remaster is on Switch, and I wonder if it handles better on Switch too, because I think that is one that people should check out if it runs better on Switch too. I'll have to look into that. But it's fantastic. If you are excited for Donkey Kong Bananza and you don't want to wait those 2 weeks, go check out the Red Faction Gorilla. I think it's called the Remastered Edition because it takes place on Mars.
Remastered.
So go check that out. But Bernard, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of All Things Nintendo. This has been great.
No, thank you for inviting me, man. I when you reached out to me, I was very excited, man. First of all, I was our trip to Palm, was that Palm Springs? Meeting you was
Just
a
outside
highlight
of
of
Palm
that.
Springs.
Yeah, meeting you was a highlight of that trip. Be quite honest with you, man.
Oh, thank you.
I'm happy for you guys at Game Informer. Game Informer is very much a very big part of my life. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Quite honest, it was, and to be on this show with you is definitely something I can check off, man. I never thought I would be on All Things Nintendo, but here I am. So I appreciate you bringing me on and let me nerd out with you a little bit. So thank you.
Hey, we'll have to have you back on the show once we got some more games to talk about. Once you get your Switch 2, let me know, and we'll get your early impressions on it. Because it was also a highlight for me hanging out with you because you were an overall great dude, and we had a blast hanging about. And like I said, seeing Flavor Flav and LMFAO or half of LMFAO perform live, that was really fun. But
right,
thanks so much, and thank you so much to everyone.
And I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, Party Rock ain't dead, man. That's I'm just gonna let you know that.
No, even though I posted on Blue Sky the other day, I was like, man, LMFAO has like the funniest discography ever because they put out Party Rock as their debut album, and then like 2 years later they put out an album called Sorry for Party Rocking, and then they never put out another piece of music again.
Oh, man. I told, man, I appreciate Party Rock, man. I always will. I don't care.
I do too. It was a very good time seeing that performed live. But that wraps up this episode. Thank you so much to everyone for listening. As you know, my Patreon and the associated Discord server are the best ways to get any questions or comments in. You can also get in touch with me at brian@allthingsnintendo.com or hit me up on Blue Sky or Instagram at Brian P. Shea. Also, if you'd find me on YouTube, I'm pushing for the 1,000 subscriber mark. That would help out the show a lot. Bernard, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Beanz Got Games. Same thing on X, formerly Twitter, Beanz Got Games with a Z, not an S. Both with a Z. Beanz with a Z and Games with a Z. You can find my work on hiphopwired.com, cassiuslife.com, and there you go. That's it.
That is our show for this week. Thank you again so much for listening. Take care. We'll see you next time. Before we wrap up this episode of All Things Nintendo, I just want to give a special shout out to the $10 patrons of the show. Alex Stadnick, Andy Junkins, Ben Richland, Chaps My Ass, Derek Sigmund, Dusty Beeman, Ian T. Clark, Jason Thompson, Jawar Hello, Johnny Five, Jose Villalobos, Joshua DeProy, KC Radioman, Cody Gibson, Creeper207, Pat Roberts, Paul at Drunk on Mako, Pratable, Rob McCann, Bobby Mac 265, Robert Sosa, Roberto Nieves, Roger Reichart, Russell Sayer, Smithy Poo, Zachary Pliggy, and Zek 3 Sword Sama. Thank you so much for your continued support. You help this show continue week after week.